What can a young engineer, looking to enter the world of communications, draw? Where can they draw confidence from that I can choose to now build a 40-year career in this space in India?
Well, for one thing, because this field has this natural tendency towards globalization. What I mean globalization is, I don't mean to get into the arguments nowadays about whether globalization is dead or not. What I mean is the ease with which you can do different parts of the technology or the manufacturing or even the conceiving or the design in any part of the world, wherever it's done best, wherever it's suitable to you, and so on, and put it all together.
Sure.
That that is there for many things, but it's really very sort of intrinsic to this miniaturized electronics field. So I would say that given that that is the case, it's also true that a lot of the companies in the world that are of originating from other countries, which are leaders in their fields, all of them are now moving substantial part of their R&D, even their intellectual property development to India because of the reasons being availability of talent, population, lower cost, all these things.
Sure.
So the so-called GCCs, as we talk about.
Yeah.
In fact, the biggest growth sector in India in terms of employment now is not the IT sector; it's the GCC sector. So GCCs come with all sorts of flavors, but all the time the quality of work, the intensity of work, and the level of the work going on in GCCs in India is growing. So I would say, from a student's point of view, from a career point of view, a lot of the value chain in electronics, starting from even if you're even a semiconductor company, we run a GCC here. We may not make the machines in India, we may not do the fabrication of the chips in India, but the companies that make those machines are all running GCCs here and developing parts of the thing here. Of course, the question of who owns that intellectual property is different. It may therefore belong to somebody else, but from a student's point of view, the ability to participate in that value chain is improving every day.
I've always believed there are two partners to two holders of the intellectual property. One is your employer that holds, quote unquote, the patent, but it's also resident in the individual that did the work. So
that is happening already. A good part of for more than a decade or two now, a lot of the a lot of the chips that are now sold by the leading semiconductor manufacturers in the world are designed completely from India. And in fact, some of them, the business is owned by the Indian arm of the MNC. Okay. When I say owning a business is different from doing the design. That means who takes the decision to invest in that, reaps the benefit of which business unit reaps the benefit of that. That also is now an Indian business of the Indian business unit of that company. So full value chain is actually resident in India in many cases, and many more cases than not. Still, I would say the full value chain doesn't reside here, but it's increasing, and I would think therefore that the opportunity wise from an individual's point of view, I think is probably never been better than it is today in this field.
And this is true with broadly the space of consumer electronics,
everything.
Right?
Probably less in military electronics, but
Sure.
You'll be surprised at the amount, because with more care to make sure that their intellectual property is protected and their security is protected. Many companies actually get a lot of the intellectual property work done, even for defense electronics in India. But they do it very, very carefully. They are experts at it.